Hello, and welcome back to the Fluent Talk Podcast, the place where we make learning English natural and fun. I'm your host, Mr. Fluent. Today, we have a very special topic that many of you will experience in your lives, the first day at a new job. It's a day full of nerves, excitement, and new beginnings. And to talk about it, we have a special guest with us today. Please welcome Sarah, who has just finished her very first day at her new company. Sarah, how are you feeling?
Hi, Mr. Fluent. Thanks for having me. To be honest, my brain is a little full right now, but I'm feeling really good. Tired, but good.
I can only imagine. There's so much new information on a first day. Let's start at the very beginning. Tell us about this morning. How are you feeling when you woke up?
Oh, I was definitely nervous. I woke up even before my alarm clock went off. I had my clothes picked out last night, of course, but I still checked them 3 times to make sure everything was perfect. I was worried about being late, so I probably left the house too early.
I think we've all been there. The first day jitters, we call them. So you get to the office. What was that moment like, walking in for the first time?
It was a little intimidating at first, walking into a big new building, but the office itself was impressive. The reception area is very modern and bright, with lots of glass and natural light. It immediately felt like a professional and positive place. My first thought was really, wow, I get to work here.
That's a fantastic first impression. It really sets the tone for the rest of the day, doesn't it?
Exactly. It helped calm my nerves a little. It felt less like a scary, unknown place and more like a new, exciting opportunity.
Right, and then came the time to meet your new team. How did that go? Were they what you expected from the interview?
They were even better. My manager, Jane, was waiting for me right at reception. She was so warm and friendly, and she had a whole schedule planned for my first day, which was really helpful. She gave me a tour and introduced me to everyone on the team one by one.
Oh, that's great. A schedule is so helpful.
It was. And the team, I was so worried I wouldn't remember all their names, but everyone was incredibly welcoming. A few people stopped by my new desk later in the morning just to chat for a minute and ask if I needed anything or wanted a coffee. It felt like a real community.
That sounds wonderful. A supportive team makes all the difference. Can you tell us a bit more about the people you met? For our listeners, hearing about different workplace personalities can be very helpful.
Of course. Besides my manager, Jane, who was very organized and reassuring, I met David, the senior designer. He's been with the company for 5 years and seems like the go-to person for any tricky questions. He's very calm and has a great sense of humor. Then there's Maria, who works on the same projects as me. She's super energetic and immediately started telling me about the best coffee shops nearby. It was nice to connect on a personal level so quickly.
That's so important, to feel that support from the very start. It makes you feel like you've made the right choice. Now, what about the actual work? Did you get a good idea of your new responsibilities?
Yes, I think so. The first couple of hours were mostly about human resources paperwork and getting my computer and email set up, the usual things. But in the afternoon, Jane sat with me and walked me through some of the main projects I'll be working on. It looks challenging, but very interesting. I got to see the special software they use and had a short training session with another team member, David. He was very patient and told me not to worry about learning it all in one day.
That's good to hear. It can be a lot to take in.
Definitely. My notebook is already half full of notes, but it's the kind of challenge I was hoping for. It wasn't overwhelming, just a lot of potential. I could see how my job fits into the bigger picture of the company.
That's a great perspective to have. So that anxiety from the morning, When do you think it really started to shift towards excitement and confidence?
I think it was a gradual process. First, meeting the team and feeling so welcomed, that was a big part. But the real turning point was during that meeting with Jane when I saw the projects. The nervousness became a kind of positive, focused energy. I started to feel like, okay, I can do this. I'm excited to start.
That is the best feeling, when the fear of the unknown becomes excitement for the possibilities. You mentioned the office felt positive. Can you describe the atmosphere a bit more? Was it quiet and serious, or more energetic?
It was a really good mix. People were focused on their work. You could tell it's a productive place, but it wasn't uncomfortably silent. There was a low hum of conversation, and people would walk over to each other's desks to ask questions. It felt very collaborative and open, not scary or too formal at all.
That sounds like a healthy work environment. And now for a very important question. What did you do for your lunch break? Sometimes that can be the most awkward part of the first day. It sounds like you're settling in well. First days can be full of learning, but sometimes they have their funny or slightly awkward moments too. Did anything like that happen to you today?
Oh, definitely. There was one moment I was trying to find the restroom and I took a wrong turn and walked straight into a very quiet, very serious looking executive meeting. Everyone just stopped and stared at me for a second. I was a little worried about that. I brought my own lunch, but I didn't know if I should eat at my desk or find a kitchen. But just before noon, two of my teammates, Maria and Tom, came over and invited me to eat with them in the big kitchen area. It was a huge relief.
Oh, that was so nice of them. That makes all the difference.
It really did. And it was just a simple, casual lunch. We talked about movies and what we like to do on weekends. It had nothing to do with work. It made me feel like I was already part of the group, not just the new person.
That's the best kind of lunch break. It's where the real team building happens. What did you learn about them? It's often in those small, non-work conversations that you really start to understand the company culture.
I completely agree. I found out that Tom is a huge fan of hiking and has climbed some incredible mountains. He showed me some pictures on his phone. Maria is training for a marathon, which is so impressive. We talked about running shoes for about 10 minutes. It was just so normal. It made me realize that these incredibly professional people are also just regular, interesting individuals. It made the whole place feel much more human and less intimidating.
That's a fantastic sign. So, looking back on the whole day, if you had to give one key piece of advice to our listeners who might be starting a new job soon, what would it be?
That's a great question. I think my biggest piece of advice would be to just be yourself and be curious. Don't pretend to know everything. Ask a lot of questions. I asked about everything from how to use the coffee machine to big questions about a project, and every single person was happy to help. It shows you're interested and engaged.
That's such good advice. It's better to ask and learn than to guess and make a mistake later.
Exactly. And maybe a second piece of advice would be to listen more than you talk on the first day. Just try to absorb the culture, the way people interact, everything. You learn so much just by observing.
Excellent points. Be curious and be observant. So, as we wrap up our conversation, how are you feeling right now about this new beginning in your career? What are your final thoughts on new beginnings in general?
Right now, I'm tired, but very hopeful. It feels like I made the right decision. The first day confirmed that this is a company and a team where I can learn and grow. In general, I think new beginnings are important. They're a little scary, of course, because change is uncertain, but they are also a chance to reinvent yourself, to learn new skills, and to meet people who will change your life. Today made me feel really excited for what I'll write in this new chapter.
What a beautiful way to put it. A new chapter. It reminds me of my very first day as a radio host. I was so nervous, I spilled coffee all over my notes just minutes before going on air. I thought it was a disaster, but my mentor just laughed and said, "Well, now you have a story to tell." And he was right. New beginnings are messy and imperfect, but they are always a chance to grow.
That's a great story. It's comforting to know that everyone, even professionals like you, have those moments. It's a good reminder that perfection isn't the goal. The goal is to start, to learn, and to keep moving forward.
You can't ask for a better feeling after a first day. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your experience with us. It was so insightful, and I'm sure our listeners feel much more prepared for their own new beginnings now.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Fluent. It was really fun to talk about it and reflect on the day.
And to all our listeners out there, remember that every expert was once a beginner. Don't be afraid of day one. Embrace it. We hope this conversation helps you on your English learning journey. Join us next week on the Fluent Talk Podcast for another great discussion. Until then, keep learning and stay fluent. Goodbye, everyone.